Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior government officials, development partners, representatives from the private sector, representatives of the Yaumbula custodians and community leaders, members of the civil servants, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Meu Sambulare, and a very good morning to you all. Indeed, it gives me a great pleasure to officiate at the opening of the inaugural Fiji Seascape Symposium. I'm advised that this is the first of its kind of symposium. It was jointly organized between the government of Fiji, Fiji's civil society, and the NGOs from the conservation community. This partnership is a testament of the Fijian government's commitment to the cause of the conservation of nature, as well as the long-standing cooperation between the Fijian government and its non-governmental organization partners to conserve our unique yet vulnerable ecosystems. Fiji possesses a large maritime domain that contributes greatly to the national economy, provides recreation, food, and income, as well as many other benefits available to the coastal communities. Our ocean is home to a wealth of a globally significant biodiversity that remains significant to our cultures, development, and attracts tourists from around the globe. As a member of the Blue Pacific continent, Fiji is proudly confident a large ocean state. Our people and communities have lived in harmony with nature and the sea for generations and possess an intimate connection with the ocean. This linking dictates that we be resilient stewards of the Ocean Pacific continent. Aligning with the 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific Ocean continent, and together with other Pacific Island leaders, we are committed to safeguarding our ocean and its life-giving functions to the planet and the people of the region. We maintain, without compromise, our resilience in response to climate change, natural disasters, and environmental threats in order to protect our respective island homes, our way of life, and our very existence. When planning for the future, we need to acknowledge the impacts of climate change and the non-sustainable practices regarding the use of our marine resources. These rank high in the list of the most substantial threats to the future health of our ocean in Fiji. A few months ago, at the delivery of my maiden address to open the 2021-2022 parliamentary session, I shared my personal concerns on the lack of commitment and urgency from global actors and leaders to increase ambition for emission reductions and to meaningfully address the impact of climate change on Fiji and other ocean-based economies in the Pacific. Climate change is already affecting our ecosystem, from increasing global temperatures that threaten the prosperity of our ocean and the health of our coral reefs, to rising sea levels that have provoked the inward migration of once coastal villages and communities. And as we call for ambitious yet specific global attention to mitigate the effects of climate change, Fiji has simultaneously called for strong and urgent ocean action. Our leadership role in the climate-ocean nexus transcends beyond our borders, across our Pacific seas, onto other parts of the globe. As we move through this decade of oceans, we must be uncompromising and clear. There is no climate action without ocean action. At the launch of this first ever Fiji Seascape Symposium, I'm hopeful that this three-day event will continue to reiterate and emphasize Fiji's existing commitments and action to protect its ocean home and to conserve as well as manage its marine resources in the face of climate change. During the 2017 United Nations Ocean Conference hosted by Fiji in partnership with Sweden, Fiji made 17 meaningful commitments to ocean action, which included advancing the delivery of seascape management in Fiji. Specifically, under the National Voluntary Commitment number 2, Fiji committed to supporting the protection and management of Fiji's 4 seascapes: the Great Sea Reef, or the Kaulevu, Watu Seascape, Kandabu Astrolabe Reef Seascape, and the Lau Seascape. This supports Fiji's goal under the National Oceans Policy 2020 to 2030, which at its core lays out a pledge of 100% sustainable management of our ocean and its designation of 30% marine protected areas by 2030. Through this effort, the National Oceans Policy aims to achieve a healthy ocean that sustains the livelihood and aspirations of the current and the future generation of Fiji. I'm reliably informed that the Fiji Seascape Symposium aims to highlight the effort of government and its partners over the past 5 years towards this commitment of a sustainable management of our ecosystem. This event provides a platform for celebration, reflection, and planning for the future of our ocean action in Fiji, and to recognize the determination and aspiration of the people of Fiji to preserve its ocean biodiversity, economy, and culture in the face of climate change and other external threats during this era of uncertainty that has become the norm of our very existence. Prior to becoming the head of state, I was personally involved in the development of the Fiji's Great Sea Reef, which spans an area of roughly 1,200 square kilometers, extending from the northern tip of Honolulu to the western parts of Wiliame across Maduata, Moa, Baha, and Nadroga provinces. Preceding the announcement of the Great Sea Reef as one of Fiji's voluntary commitment to the SDG 14, with the people of the Matilemu, we worked with the Worldwide Fund for Nature and confirmed Maduata's inclusion as part of the Great Sea Reef Seascape. The Great Sea Reef is the world's 3rd longest continuous barrier reef system and is home to a collection of unique mangrove island habitats, endemic fish and coral species, and other globally significant diverse marine life. Connected to the Great Sea Reef is the Watu Seascape, which stretches between Fiji's 2 main islands. A vibrant sea containing more than 300 coral species and an overabundance of marine species and adjoining coastal forests that house crested iguanas, tree frogs, and seabirds. The Wildlife Conservation Society is working with communities across Ra, Bua, Lomaiviti, Tailewe, and parts of the Katonivere provinces as an area of roughly 28,000 square kilometers to conserve ocean life and support the well-being and livelihoods of many Fijians. In the Eastern Division, the Fiji Locally Managed Marine Network, or FLAMA, and the Institute of Applied Science have been closely engaged with other partners in the development of the Kandabu Astrolabe Seascape. This is a major repository of marine and terrestrial biodiversity surrounded by the Great Astrolabe Reef, the world's 4th largest barrier reef, which is 5,270 square kilometers and home to many large billfish species, shark, and other pelagic fish species like tuna and mai. The 4th, the Lau Seascape, This is the most far-flung group among Fiji's constellation of islands. The Lau archipelago is rather pristine and contains a wealth of unspecified species and stunning ecosystems that provide food, cultural value, and livelihoods for its 9,600 inhabitants. Conservation International and its network partners have closely worked with the Vanua Lau to develop the Lau Seascape strategy, which aims to work with stakeholders to protect and manage the project at a huge scale, with strong focus on climate resilience, ocean protection, strengthening local livelihoods, and sustainable fisheries management. These incredible islands and seascapes are at a defining moment in time as climate change impacts accelerate the window of opportunity. Inclusive of the planned policies and national action to establish the protection and development of these ocean areas is critical. The Fijian government is committed to working with our national partners to guide and innovate conservation and protection within Fiji's 4 designated seascapes, as well as translate the learnings, successes, and best practices to support conservation action across Fiji's entire exclusive economic zone. I viewed from the brief that over the next 3 days, this symposium will review the efforts and the impacts on the execution of Fiji's commitment to the United Nations Oceans Conference and review Fiji's efforts to date and define Fiji's progress towards the achievement of the long-term marine reserve and conservation priorities. The post-COVID state of affairs and impact to our national economy with the compounding global economic crisis, it is undoubtedly certain that Fiji needs an improved way forward that advocates and prioritizes the conservation and resilience of our ocean economy. Our ocean stewards are responsible. Our responsibility is to our greatest resource, the oceans. Our responsibility lies in the learning more about the issues that plague our waters and consolidating our resources at the local, regional, and global levels to execute the goals and objectives that have been set in place to address the issues affecting our oceans. Let me talk to you about something that is close to my heart in regards to combating climate change. In 2020, after so much thought, I decided to set up an initiative that will address the issues faced by the people on the ground in Maduata in terms of community development, highlighting the issues they were combating amongst other things. This is because our rural communities are often forgotten and are sometimes used for group funders' personal gain and recognition. Called Maivalili. This NGO initiative aims to highlight the climate change plight of communities around Fiji, especially Honolulu. Our aim is to capture the stories, consolidate data and reports, advocate for change in communities, and dialogue with other NGOs on the ground. This brings me to why I support the work of the Fiji Council of Social Services are doing in keeping project people accountable to the commitment they make to communities around Fiji. I thank Vani and the team at FCOS for the work they continue to do so. Friends, I speak to you today not only as head of state, but also as the traditional head of the province of Maduata, husband, father, and a grandfather. And it is the future of our grandchildren's homeland that worries me after seeing what climate change is doing. After COP23 in Bonn, Germany, I was able to successfully get the Great Sea Reef, or the Kouleu in Honolulu, to be a recognized Ramsar site. Now, it is a protected site, and it gives me hope for the future when such victories are won little by little. We are in this together to protect, effectively review efforts, and redefine our approach to remain relevant to the prevalent risks our ocean face, and to most importantly, care for our natural resources, from mountain to reef to ocean. With these few words, it gave me great pleasure to officially launch the inaugural Fiji National Seascape Symposium. May your deliberations bring forth positive, workable outcomes for you and I and the communities we are called to serve. May God bless you, may God bless us all, and may God bless Fiji. Maivalili.